Happy Tuesday, my friends. Today you have a couple of things on your assignment to do. The first thing you have to do the Tuesday, do now on the do now packet for today. I will post this in the instructions, but please make sure that you do Monday and Tuesday because I'm going to go over the answers tomorrow in our live session. Today, you need to write your last paragraph for your rough draft. So this means that it's going to be the conclusion paragraph where you wrap everything up that you've talked about. This is only 5 to 8 sentences long, so please make sure that you have a good conclusion where you wrap your thoughts up, okay? That's what you're supposed to do today when you hang up here. And then another thing is that you're going to have a few reading quizzes and one review quiz. The reading quiz is going to be over what I'm going to read to you now. And the review quiz is just review on synonyms and antonyms and homophones, because those have been our do now topics for 3 weeks, okay? So that's what you're going to do today. I'm going to go over it at the very end too. So right now, all you're going to do is sit back and relax and listen to what I am going to read to you. So right now, you were just going to make sure that you sit back and relax because I am going to share this with you. So we're going to read a little bit about mythological creatures of ancient Greece. So we're going to start here because we see that it goes left to right. So myths are stories that people understand, that help people understand important ideas such as good and evil. Fantastic creatures were important in Greek myths. Centaurs are one of the creatures. They had the head and chest of a human and the body of a horse. The ancient Greeks thought centaurs were different from them because centaurs were animal-like and were driven by their feelings. The story of the centaurs began with a Greek king named Ixion, who came to live with the gods. Zeus heard that Ixion had fallen in love with his wife. As a test, Zeus made a cloud that looked like his wife. Ixion fell in love with the cloud because he thought it was the wife of Zeus. The cloud gave birth to the first centaur. Zeus then made Ixion spin around and around on a wheel forever. Greeks used pictures of myths to show how they felt about events that were happening at the time. For example, the Greeks connected one of their enemies, the Persians, with the centaurs. Here's a picture. It says, in ancient art, centaurs are often shown winning against Greeks in battle. This is the case in this sculpture from a 5th century BCE temple in Athens. So this is the centaur because it has the head and chest of a human and then the body of a horse. Did you know the relationship between a guest and his or her host was important to ancient Greeks? The myth about Xion and the first centaur is an example of the importance of this relationship. Xion was Zeus's guest. What happened to Xion was a lesson that bad things can happen if people do not treat their host well. Sirens. Sirens had female human heads and bird bodies. They sang beautiful songs to make sailors crash into their island. Their myth shows that self-control was important to the Greeks. The myth about sirens says that they had been human maids to the goddess Persephone. One day, when she was picking flowers, a god took her. The sirens used their wings to look for Persephone. After they could not find her, they settled on an island. So they sang beautiful songs to make sailors crash into the island. So it's a little bit tricky. The songs of sirens drew many sailors to their island. Only a few were able to pass them by. One man played music so loud that he could not hear them. Another man was tied to his ship, and his sailors put wax in their ears. The ancient Greek vase shows Odysseus tied to his ship so he can hear the siren's song and stay alive. So here are the sirens here, and he's tied to his ship so that he doesn't crash into the island. The sirens are connected to the word siren, which is something that gives off a loud warning sound. They also gave meaning to siren's song, something so nice that makes you want it even if it's dangerous. Medusa. While the Sirens were known for their beauty, Medusa was famous for her scary looks. Medusa and her two sisters were known as the Gorgons. Although Medusa's sisters would live forever, humans could defeat her. However, Medusa was able to turn people to stone when they looked into her eyes. The myth about Medusa begins with an evil king. He was in love with the mother of a boy named Perseus. To get Perseus out of his way, the king sent him to get the head of Medusa. Perseus had promised to do whatever the king asked. The king did not think Perseus would be able to do this. With some help, Perseus cut off the head of Medusa. From her body came two creatures. Some people think her killing stood for the ending of a drought. They think the creatures stood for the good things that came after a drought ended, crops and water. Wowzer! The Greeks believed that the frightening faces of the Gorgons would protect them and keep them away from evil. They put pictures of Gorgons everywhere, including their shields. So here's a picture. And in Paris, for example, there are things called gargoyles, which is what comes from here. In the past, they would put gargoyles on churches, big buildings, to protect that building. So that's where we get gargoyles from. So let's go ahead and talk about the Minotaur. The Minotaur was another creature that had both human and animal parts. It had the head of a bull and the body of a man. The monster was so scary that it was kept in a maze under the palace of the king of Crete. 7 boys and 7 girls were sent to the Minotaur. A brave boy named Theseus said he wanted to be one of them. The princess of Crete saw Theseus and fell in love with him. The princess wanted to save Theseus from the Minotaur. She gave him a ball of yarn to tie to a door. He was to unwind it as he made his way through the maze. She also gave Theseus a weapon. After Theseus defeated the Minotaur, he followed the trail of yarn out of the maze. Because bulls were important to a goddess in Crete, they may have stood for Crete itself. Some people think that Theseus winning his fight against the Minotaur showed that the Greeks took over Crete. A typhoon. A Minotaur was tiny compared to a giant typhoon. It was a monster with wings, snakes for legs, and 100 heads, 1 human and the rest other creatures. Typhoon stood for the strongest forces of nature. Only Zeus, the king of gods, could match Typhoon. Their battle shook the whole world. Zeus defeated Typhoon and then locked him up under earth. The Greeks blamed Typhoon for strong winds. The idea that Zeus was stronger than these forces of nature made them feel better. Conclusion. The Greeks did not put creatures in their myths just to entertain or scare people. These creatures and the myths about them helped people understand the world around them at the time. Mythical creatures were important to ancient Greece. These amazing stories about them are still popular today. Many companies use mythological creatures from ancient Greece as their logos. The clothing company Versace uses Medusa's head. The gas company Mobil uses Pegasus. Perseus's winged horse, and then Starbucks coffee uses a siren. Okay? So what you're going to do today is you are going to take a reading quiz from this. Now you can use this video to help answer the questions, or you could just read on your own. It's up to you. There's only 10 questions for you to answer, so make sure that you read through it thoroughly, and it should be a really easy reading quiz if you just listen to this video or read on your own, or maybe do both, okay? You also have to write the conclusion paragraph today and do your do now. Those are the 3 things you have to do today, okay? If you have any questions, just message me or your LAT and we will help you out. Good job, guys.